Hey guys, so we're going to start the discussion now. Really quick disclaimer, if you do not like open and transparency and straightforward truth, you probably do not want to watch my videos because I'm going to be open and as transparent as possible. I feel that oftentimes we become stuck in a lot of things because we refuse to be honest and straightforward about it. We refuse to take responsibility for decisions and actions made, and we tend to shy away from the truth or the blatant truth. So I'm going to tell you all my business. If my business involves you, do not worry. I will not put a name with it because that is not tactful and it's messy, and that ain't me at all. So, this week, I would like to start off talking about the effects of sexual abuse on the individual. Interesting facts: 1 in 4 females would have experienced sexual abuse by the time they're 18. 1 in 6 males would have experienced sexual abuse by the time they're 18. For myself, that is factual. I am the 1 in 6. Even though, honestly, I feel that the male sexual abuse is highly underreported. I feel as though the numbers are slightly higher, but society teaches males to deal with life, push it down, and move on. You're less of a man if you say, hey, I have this issue because, and I need help. Another discussion for another day, but yeah. So the first one, I scribbled on some notes. I don't know if you guys see it, so I can keep track because I'm gonna be all over the place if I don't. So the first topic is the effects on me, on my self-image primarily. So, as I talk about in the book, I was sexually abused as a kid at 6, and then again, on and off my childhood, and then ultimately it concluded in my early 20s. And so it caused me to really not value who I was, to downplay who I was and how I was. For instance, I was a kid who had a really nice singing voice, but because I did not value me, I pushed me down. I did not try to explore anything. I was embarrassed of my voice. I felt like my voice was too high as a guy. I sometimes still think my voice is too light and too high. As a guy of my size, but I've learned to accept it for what it is. It ain't gonna change, so who cares? Until I probably get like 50, and then the voice drops and get all deep, sound like I've been smoking cigarettes my whole life. Don't know, but until that happens, it is what it is. I can't do nothing about it. The way God made me, so it is what it. Plus, I'm a counselor, so the soft spoken and the higher voice helps me convey emotions. It helps me make connection with people, and it also counters my large size, because if I was my size with a big booming voice, kids would not love me. But kids love me because I'm just like a big old teddy bear, essentially. Shout out to my pastor because she called me teddy bear. Anyhow, so yeah, I didn't value who I was or how I was or whatever, and I oftentimes downplayed myself. For instance, I have a high school diploma. I have a GED. When I got that, I boxed it away and it sat there. When I got my associates, my bachelor's, and my master's, I boxed them away and they sat there. I intend to order some plaque frames for them to put them up, but currently they are not anywhere. They're in my closet in that box over there, packed away, because I just learned to just push me aside and put others before myself, which is foolish because it's like my high school principal told me I was going to go homeless and become nothing. Here it is. I have accomplished a lot and I'm not homeless, and I have a lot to show that, hey, this says you are successful, but yet I don't do anything with it. So working on that, that's one of my goals for this year, is to celebrate myself more and to allow myself to actually live for me and not for others. So yeah, way to go. The next one, oh my God, this is a big one. So sexual abuse caused me to become emotionally withdrawn. For instance, some people would say, oh my God, you're so strong, and how do you bounce back, and how do you just not be affected? It's because I'm damaged. There's nothing to celebrate here. This is not good. For instance, when I find out someone dies, I cry at the point of notice and then at the funeral. After that, I no longer cry anymore. It's like I never really processed grief. It's more like I boxed it away and moved on. And so I had a box of emotions. Thank you, Lord. I had a box of emotions that I kept packed away, and then whenever something happened, I did not deal with anything sad or depressing or negative. I did not. I ran after the fun, lighthearted stuff of life, and anything counterproductive to that, I boxed away. But when I started counseling in 2018 and 2019, my counselor helped me unpack all my emotions and to sort and work through them. I processed grief, I processed anger, you name it. I processed a lot through counseling. So I thank God that I actually started counseling, because it really helped me deal with a lot of what I was annoying. I thought I was emotionally good. I was adaptive. No, I was damaged and I was ignoring my emotional needs. And so I processed those. But initially, all of my life from 6 up until 20, I don't know how old I was in 2018, but whatever, I did not deal well with emotions. I did not become emotionally connected to people. Someone would break down crying in front of me, and I would just sit there like, what am I supposed to do? What do I do here? And it's crazy because I'm a counselor by education and trade, but still, you know, which there probably is a good thing, because it probably helped me connect with a lot of clients, because I understood their emotions, but I did not get into the emotions with them. I helped become objective and keep focused. So that's a plus, but it's negative. Professionally, it was beneficial, but personally, it was detrimental, extremely, because how can I not be emotionally open with people who I've known and loved my whole life, i.e. my family? Oftentimes my siblings would tell me I'm a little cold, I'm a little sharp with my words, but that's because I didn't really process the emotion to say, hey, this is happening to me, you need to be gentle. It's more like hot off the press, there it is. Regardless of how you feel, here's the truth, unfiltered, unadulterated, just right at you, with no consideration as to where you are and how you are at that moment. So thank God for counseling, because it helped me become a better me. Oh God, this is a big one. Now this is one that a lot of people are going to be like, what? But what are we doing here? What is the purpose of all this? But it serves a purpose, trust me. All right, so sexual abuse typically makes some individuals become sexually inept. So they, I think inept is what I'm looking for. Don't know. But they become sexually withdrawn. So they do not have sex. They recluse, I think is the word. I don't know. But they don't have sex that often, and they regress from sexual activities, or they become excessive in sex. And for me, it was kind of both. So initially in my so after my adulthood at rape at 21, I shut myself down, right? And I didn't do anything sexually. Then around about 23, almost 24 is when I said, you know what? I'm gonna do me. So I put myself out there. When I say I put myself out there, just to be honest. I had with men, I had with women, I had with some trans individuals, I had some people who dress of the opposite sex. I think gender nonconformity is what it is, or non-binary. Not quite sure, I need to educate myself. But either way, if it was consensual and it was legal, I did it. And the crazy part is, oftentimes people would applaud me, and mom, please don't be embarrassed, but I'm gonna say it anyhow. Oftentimes people would applaud me for being someone who can last long, and they didn't understand why that is, and I thought it was crazy for them to applaud me, when the fact of the matter is, the reason why that is the case is because I'm damaged, and sex was not pleasing to me. It was something I did to meet the expectations of others. It was something I did because I knew you like somebody, you talk to somebody, you're gonna have sex at some point. So do it. You know, expectations of others, not myself, because if it was me, I would not have had sex, because I was not mentally or emotionally ready for sex at all until about after therapy in 2019, honestly. Up until that point, all the sex I had was meaningless and pointless. And I had people say, well, why do we have sex but we never can make love? It's because I cannot have that, because there's a wall up for me mentally. As I talk about in my book, whenever sex was presented to me and whenever it occurred, mentally I escaped. Physically, I was there, but mentally, I was somewhere else. I remember one time I was with this chick, and so we doing the thing or whatever, and mentally, I'm like picturing tribes in Africa and animals and everything else or whatever else, but yet I'm physically there doing it too. But mentally, I'm gone. And so that was my way of, that was my defense mechanism to sex, because sex triggered my trauma. PTSD is what I'm going to get into at the end of the video, but sex really triggered my trauma and the emotions therein. So sex would happen physically, I'm there and I'm good, but mentally I'm gone. And so people would say, oh my God, that was awesome, but you just stayed too long with all this. I'm like, I'm damaged. That's why. And so this is why the sex is meaningless, and that's why it's endless, because I've learned how to adapt to doing something I don't want to do and just dealing with it in the moment and moving on. So it made me extremely sexually active between 25 and 28 years old. Thank God for grace. I ain't catch nothing. Thank you, Jesus. God is good, cause Lord knows I should have. Cause you want to be safe and use protection, but sometimes you just slip up. It is what it is. You know, drinks get involved and things happen, and you wake up the next morning and the Lord blessed me to where I ain't had no kids because I done had a couple of pregnancy scares because, again, I'm living out my trauma instead of processing and dealing with it. I'm in the thralls of my trauma and I'm acting out on what I needed because for me, sex had become something to be expected to normalize the emotions and the issues that I had. Thank God for counseling. I'm telling you, counseling is a great thing. Trust me. Get it if you can. The last thing I would like to talk about is PTSD. So with sexual abuse is a traumatic experience. It snapshots you in that moment, and you oftentimes develop triggers that will remind you of those cases. And in my case, the number one trigger for me is I do not like people to touch me randomly. If I do not expect you to touch me, please do not put your hand on me. Do not walk up on me because I almost simultaneously go into fight or flight, and I'm overweight, so I'm not finna fight. I'm gonna fight and I'm gonna be a deadliest catch because in my mind I have to protect me at all costs. This becomes life or death. You so much as doing this unexpected to me is life and death. So I go into I gotta fight you. And I had it bad when I was, oh God, when I was out doing my thing, 25, 28, it was bad. I was highly aggressive. It is what it is. Fight to death at any moment. But through counseling, I learned to identify where I'm going and to counter the thoughts prior to getting there and while there. For instance, I went to the club with my friends a couple years ago, and the security guard was like touching on me and all extra and stuff. And I'm just like, oh my God, I gotta beat this man up. Like, I'm legit seeing myself beating him to death in there because he's violating my space. He's touching me. But I had to tell myself, James, this is his job. He's at work doing his job. What do you expect? Calm down. It ain't that deep. You ain't special. You know, and granted, I still feel like they want a little extra with the groping and the touching, but I countered my thoughts to act out of fight and flight. And the same thing goes with church. When I go to church, I automatically anticipate people hugging me, people speaking to me, people walking up to me or whatever else and all that. So when I go to church, I'm good. I don't take that, oh my God, fight or flight approach. I take that, okay, this is expected. It's not that deep, move on. And so I do. So counseling taught me to counter the anxious thoughts and anxious responses to my triggers that remind me of being victimized because, yeah. Another one of mine is I do not like being in closed settings. I do not do well in a building. Like if it's a large gathering and it's a large group of people, in my mind, I'm preoccupied with thinking of, if this happens, how am I going to escape? Where's my exits? Okay, then this person here, they're fairly large, so I can probably duck behind them and run this way. Like, that's where my brain is, and I'm highly uncomfortable. So when people, if you ever see me in the club and stuff, I'll sit in the corner by myself with a drink in my hand, but I'm scoping, trying to figure out, okay, who is this person? Why he look like this? What's wrong with him? I probably have to fight him because he probably owns something. Okay, now if they start shooting on this side, I can run out this way and get, like, I'm so preoccupied with the anxiety, the anxiousness of what could happen because my trauma made me deal with things on circumstances. How you going to respond? How are you going to escape? I always thought any kind of setting other than me, even with my family, is, I kid you not. So I used to think with my family, like, oh my God, we finna get together. We're going to have a get together. It's going to be all of us. But in my mind, I'm sitting there with my family. Like for Thanksgiving 2019, we had Thanksgiving at my parents' house. My aunts came, my grandparents came, and we all got together. So in my mind, I literally am sitting with my family. I'm thinking, okay, if we get in a fist fight out here, okay, this cousin here with her mama, so they this too. My brother's here with their kids, so it's them. My parents are here with each other, it's them. It's just me. So if something jump off, I gotta fight all of them by myself. And so how am I do this? Like it was bad. Thank God for counseling again. You know, 2019, way to go, Supervisor Lindsay. You helped me out greatly when you introduced me to EAP, and that branched off into a beautiful thing to normalize me and help process me. So thank you, Lindsay. It's my girl. But anyhow, so I don't really do well in large crowds in confined spaces because my mind is preoccupied. I don't do well with people touching on me, and I do not like guns. Now I'll close out with this. So, when I was talking about the adulthood rape or whatever, again, I was raped by gunpoint at 21. In my mind, I constantly thought that this person is going to climax and accidentally shoot me in the back of my head, because some people, you know, when they hit their sexual peak, they become extremely extra and do the most. And I just thought for sure I was going to get shot in the back of my head. And so guns really make me uneasy. Like, I low-key want some to protect myself and my family if need be, but because I have the fight or flight response that I have to constantly work through, because I'm so uneasy around guns, I refuse to, because that's not safe for me or anyone else, you know. So yeah, so this is the start of the discussion. We're going to create the discussion. The next, I haven't figured out what I want to talk about on the next one, but thank you all for watching my video. Like, comment, share it, invite someone else to the page. Let's start having discussions. Let's start trying to piece together a broken society that's oftentimes swept under the rug. I wish you all the best. God bless, and I'm going to holler at you. Peace.